ahoy, ahoy. Welcome to a brand new edition of the Ramble on Reactions. Sitting next to me as always is handsome Dan Nye.
Sitting right over there is clever Eric Muller.
Now, I'm German, you...
Yes, German and English. Happy.
So none of us are an Irishman.
An Irishman or...
I did it.
Or an Italian playing an Irishman?
Oh, no, De Niro's half.
Is he? Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's bringing up in the Goodfellas.
Oh, yes, true. They do. Which I'm sure we'll be mentioning more than once in the next 7 to 9 minutes.
That's right. Or 3.5 hours.
That's right. We're doing a review as long as this movie was.
That's right.
No, we are not. We don't have time for that.
No, we do. The problem is I don't know if we can keep it going for 3 hours.
Especially talking about the same movie, we would have to be breaking down it'd have to be a commentary. And even in those kind of commentaries, I
was going to say, I got booze over there to keep you going.
I mean, I'd be sauced before I went into work tonight. You would, and it's true, that would keep me going. But, I do enjoy commentaries about that. But even commentaries of people who make them, there's still lulls.
Yes.
That being said, this is a 3.5 hour long movie. And
called The Irishman.
And a lot of people were wondering, this is a 3.5 hour movie. That's a mobster movie. And Teamster movie? This is, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where it's you blur that line of reality and fantasy, and it's how much of this, I wonder, was based on actual fact? Let's start with, the plot. It's a Scorsese movie, so there's a lot of mobster
and
stuff.
It's about the death of Jimmy Hoffa.
About Jimmy Hoffa, who was the
I almost said Jimmy Fallon, which, that's my wish list.
Well, we'll edit that part out, which isn't going to happen. What?
What?
Quick, break character.
Oh my God, what? This is great.
Convincing. Very convincing.
Thank you.
So, Jimmy Hoffa, the head of unions, head of Teamsters.
Head of the Teamsters unions, and eventually he pisses off the right amount of people. And it's the life story of Robert De Niro's character who allegedly shot Jimmy Hoffa.
Hard hand quotes. Because he's the Irishman. Can we do the almost do it. As weird as it looks. We should stop that. People are going to turn this off.
Assuming they already
haven't, because it's about the Irishman, so that's going to be long. But that's the thing, is this is...
As someone who grew up in Detroit and had to hear a lot about Jimmy Hoffa.
Please.
In fact, one of my dad's old secretaries used to be Jimmy Hoffa's personal secretary.
Interesting.
That's right. No, there's a great article out there that actually pretty much just debunks everything.
In this movie?
In this guy's alleged confession.
Ah. Got it. So this is based on an alleged confession?
Yes.
Okay. I went to the movie
The Irishman that Robert De Niro plays is a real person, and he allegedly claimed on his deathbed that he shot Jimmy Hoffa.
Got it.
Based on the orders of Joe Pesci's character.
Gotcha. So yeah, and that's, we take a grand 3 hours to get to that moment. Maybe 2 hours and 45 minutes, because it happens, and then we get the whole denouement, which is... the deathbed stuff, like you were mentioning. That kind of makes more sense when you play it in there. So I went into this movie knowing a lot about the backstory. Scorsese couldn't get this finance, so he goes to Netflix and he wants to work with Pacino and De Niro and Pesci again, and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, great.
Sure.
And all three were great. I mean...
Yes. I think Pesci takes it for me.
I go Pacino.
See, Pacino, everyone's talking how great he was, and I'm kind of okay. It's the only reason I go okay is because it didn't feel like anything that I haven't seen Pacino do before.
Right.
That's why I'm everyone's Pacino's the best, and I'm so we're getting into a little negative, so I'm assuming we're gonna go all around with this movie. But
just
I'm
the movie itself.
Yeah, meandering. But it's just there wasn't anything where I'm that is a performance where it's
there's a couple because you know how they work in the Academy. You have to have your Oscar moment. You have to have that scene, and there's a couple of those scenes in there, like the meeting.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, that also seemed
or the phone call sequence. I mean, the first one where he's introducing himself to Robert De Niro. There's moments like that. I get that. I like Joe Pesci too, because it is the most anti-Joe Pesci performance I've ever
reserved.
Seen. Right.
It's quiet. He's the guy now who's I'm gonna get this done. He's not flying off the handle he was in Goodfellas. But that's, to me, I just kept watching it and I'm how is this not Goodfellas 1.5 to
That's
where
what I
it's
thought.
like...
Here's what I thought. I thought this was a Netflix original, someone copying off the Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Like, they took that template, and they're just telling their own...
They weave their way in and out, and, well, let's go positives first, because I have a pretty big negative.
Well, like I said, my positives, again, are the performances.
Their performances, yeah, I mean, for what they're doing, the de-aging does look good.
Thank Marvel for that.
We'll get into more of that. We'll get into more of that in a minute. We'll thank Marvel for that. This is what we wanted to reference. If you can't tell by that mustache down here, there it is, holding up. I like the supporting performances. I feel like Anna Paquin not saying anything is a really good performance.
Oh yeah, like everyone's giving beef about that, but it makes sense.
It's what you need. You need somebody who can convey that disdain while saying one line and like is starting from. Which I'm, and just going throughout the years. You know who I was surprised to see and I really liked was Ray Romano.
Yeah, I know.
That kind of came out of nowhere, and I'm like, yes, I want to see him in other things outside of Everybody Loves Raymond. So him being a prominent figure in like the first hour and a half. He's in the second part of the movie, but he's really featured in the first part.
Yeah, I know. It was nice to see him. I was like, oh.
So, but yeah, and then it's a Scorsese movie, so it's like you already kind of know the positives, but now we do have to go to the negatives, which is like, it's the meandering and it's Goodfellas 1.75.
Yeah.
Like,
Here's it would have worked better as a miniseries if you wanted to tell the story that.
Sure. And then you can also focus on those individual parts. If you break this up into a 4-parter like they did with the Hateful Eight for Tarantino, I think you have a much more digestible. I literally stopped this movie with like 2 hours left, and I'm like, I gotta do something around the house. I gotta do some laundry. Like, this is so.
I watched it the day I came back home from Thanksgiving.
Okay.
I watched half of it. I took a break to eat dinner with my wife. Watched The Mandalorian. Then I went back down to the basement to finish it.
Yeah, it's because
it's one of those things like everyone's like, oh, you can power view a TV series in a day, or you can watch all these Marvel movies back to back. The thing is, it's the pacing. You can keep it going. With this, it's a slow, drawn pace, the ways Martin Scorsese likes to do things.
It never really picks up. Even in the climax, you get the climax and you can tell something's coming, all the music cuts out, and then like you see it coming because that's how Scorsese wants you to be telegraphed. But it's like like slow. It's like watching the killer and you know they're going to kill somebody, and then it's so rough. So you're just watching it and you're like, this is kind of painful to watch. And as all that's happening, it's kind of like, cool. And the reason why I think we talk about the episodicness and all that kind of thing, those are self-contained stories. So when you don't feel like you're binging it, it's like, I want to see what happens next in the story. This is only part of the story that we're getting.
Right.
So, and that's going to lead me to my other big negative. So, the de-aging looks great. However, you have, I want to say, 70-year-old Robert De Niro?
Yes.
Trying to play a 30 or 40-year-old Robert De Niro?
Yeah, trying to beat somebody up. That was hilarious.
That didn't even bother me so much. What did bother me is the posture. And take it for a minute, because I have to answer a phone call.
All right. So, yeah, there's times where you can tell you can only do so much with somebody who is 80 years old trying to be someone who's literally half his age. Unfortunately, you can't really do that much well in that performance. My other main issue with this movie is, it's 3.5 hours long. Martin Scorsese had to go to Netflix because he couldn't get it financed by the studio because he wanted to add that runtime. There was no way, to me, he did not justify that additional runtime. You have drawn-out sequences. Yes, you have the go-to Martin Scorsese tracking shots. You have the go-to great performances from De Niro, Pacino, and Joe Pesci. But the problem is, there's not enough to keep this momentum going for 3.5 hours.
Okay.
It's I'm not Sting. I can't keep it going for hours at a time.
Apologies, I'm currently getting my car worked on and I had to answer a phone about a tire. So, yes, but the 3 hours is rough, but I want to go back to, and it was a little tease, so you were just saying it's those guys can't get you through to a 3.5 hour runtime?
They could, but again, I guess going off. No, I was trying to justify that. Scorsese, the reason he couldn't get this finance is one of the reasons because he wanted it at that 3.5 hour runtime. And to me, you cannot justify that. He easily could have gone to the studio and cut 45 minutes.
It could have been a Goodfellas. It could have been a tight story that you are engaged with all the way through. But my beef, what it kept pulling me out, is their literal posture. Because a 70-year-old man, you can de-age them all you want. You can make them look younger.
Right, in the face. You can't de-age their body.
Change the posture. I'm sorry. We saw Robert De Niro grow up in front of a camera, and his head wasn't down here. Like, that literally bothered me. Where, like, you're watching, and his shoulders are, like, so high. Like, yeah, like, we understand that he had broad shoulders, but, like, his head was sitting roughly where mine and Eric are now. Yeah. And it kept pulling me out of it. I'm like, this looks like you just put a bunch of makeup on an old guy.
Yes.
Like, that really bothered me. And
like I said, the sequence where he's going to beat up that shopkeeper... That was rough.
A lot of those mid-year sequences. Like, it looked okay when he was young, but, like, when you got those profiles, even, especially on Pacino as well, I think that's one reason I liked Pesci more than...
Because he's sitting!
No, not only because he's sitting, but because he had the least done with him. He starts as an old man.
Yeah.
So, like, they don't have that much to do, and I feel like he just looked... Because he doesn't have as much, like, physically to do, he already looked, like, well ahead of where they were. Like, so... it was the posture. It killed me because I don't know why, but I think I key in on physical acting. It's why I like.
It literally broke the fourth wall for you.
It breaks the illusion. Like
the wrongful suspension of disbelief.
Exactly.
Is no longer disbelief.
I love Doug Jones and I love Ray Park because they can like literally manipulate any part of their body.
And you know, and when they're Robert De Niro's age, they're not going to be doing that.
But that's the thing, they might, because that's where their craft is first. Like, you would have had to literally trained to get because it happened with Pacino as well. Like, they look like old men.
Right.
Like, not in the face, because they're de-aged.
But in their bodies.
I was going to say, but even Douglas didn't look like this. In Ant-Man 1, and when they de-age him for anything else, especially in Endgame.
Yeah.
Michael Douglas does not look like this when they de-age him. He's visibly has a different look about his body in the couple of shots that he's in.
Because usually what they do is they usually get a body double and they just put somebody else face on.
And that's the thing, going back to those performances, I like how they got different actresses. They're not going to try to de-age Anna Paquin to be a 13-year-old girl, but they'll recast them, so it's like, you're playing favorites here. I get it, they are your favorites, but it's like... So many of these things, they could have been avoided, and a lot of it took me out of the... You could probably cut around a lot of that. A lot of the things that took us out of the movie, you could lose.
Yeah.
And I get that people, like... Did you grow up with Scorsese? Did you watch a lot of the ones when you were younger?
Not when I was young.
When you were older? Like
came to it when I was older, yeah.
Same. So it's like one of those things like Goodfellas, The Departed. There's a bunch of Scorsese. I saw Taxi Driver. There's a bunch I haven't seen. I haven't seen Raging Bull.
Oh,
so there's a bunch I haven't seen. But that being, I think the people who grew up with Scorsese have an easier time just being like, oh, drink it in. Give me that sweet milk from Scorsese.
Soak it in, man.
Yeah. But for me, where it's like I came to it later and I really appreciate the entertaining parts, I can't get into the story.
Yeah, I get that.
Grade it.
B.
I'll go B-. Like, I appreciate what they tried to do, but I could not get into it.
It's a passion project that I'm like one of those things where it's like, does it need to be your passion?
It'll get nominations for things.
Because again, because people who grew up Scorsese, or because he's such a fixture in the industry, he's going to get the love, but it's not. I don't get the top 10 love.
I don't either. I don't get people who are like, I wish it was longer, and I'm like, you do? Okay.
Sure.
Have fun with that guy. I don't know. All right. But that's our meh review on the Irishman.
It's a review. It's an honest review.
It's an honest review with a few interjections, but we're keeping it in there because we're honest.
One cut Dan and then.
Exactly. I'm professional. You're going to be over there hearing me talking to the Costco tire guy. Clever Eric Muller. I think I have a new nickname, One Cut Dan.
Yep.
One Take Dan. I like One Cut too. One Cut would imply I take it out of the review, which isn't going to happen.
That's right.
Because editing takes up time, and I'll only do it to add our sick-ass intro. So, as always...
Thank you, Brad, for that.
Yes, thank you, Brad. There's things and buttons, notifications. I hope this, again, was a long review, but...
Phone call included.
Let us know what you thought.
Right, much like The Irishman, you could have cut out the phone call, but we're not.
It's content, damn it, it's content.
In your face.
Ramble on.